Ram fans, welcome back to another week of CTV Sports. I'm Mike Walsh.
And I'm Leah Cackowski. Here's what we got on tap for you tonight.
First, Leah and I acknowledge Wyoming's decision to forfeit in their matchup against SJSU as the Spartans advocate for their Title IX battle.
CSU football is back after a bye week as they took the trip to Oregon to face the Beavers.
And women's soccer has continued their hot streak both home and on the road. Plus, Nick Ortiz is back after getting to know the Colorado Grit hockey team.
All of that and more right here on CTV Sports, which starts right now.
To start off the show tonight, we wanted to acknowledge a situation currently in the media about the Mountain West Conference regarding volleyball.
3 schools, including Wyoming, Utah State, and Boise State, refused to play their matches against San Jose State as the Spartans have a trans athlete in their starting lineup.
Southern Utah also forfeited their match, but the 4 schools didn't give much of a lengthy reason as to why, mostly just stating that they will not play. However, governors of those states did get involved and made specific statements. Utah Governor Spencer J. Cox posted this. It is essential that we preserve a space for women to compete fairly and safely. Our female athletes are left grappling with this difficult issue because the NCAA has failed in its responsibility to protect female athletes and women's sports. It's time for the NCAA to take this seriously.
Players are using their voices as well as San Jose State setter Brooke Slessor joined in on a federal lawsuit that's been filed by more than a dozen women athletes against the NCAA. The lawsuit challenges NCAA policies regarding transgender athletes, saying that it's a violation of Title IX by allowing men to compete on women's teams. According to the San Diego Union Tribune, the legal complaint said, Brooke and many of the girls on the SJSU women's volleyball team agree with this criticism and agree it is unfair to the teams that they are playing that SJSU has a male on their team. They are also concerned about the risk for injury to the female athletes on teams SJSU faces. The article also stated from Slessor that San Jose did not immediately tell her she had a transgender teammate. The two lived together in a residence with 3 other teammates back in 2023. Slessor went on to say that SJSU players were told by the school to not speak about their teammates' gender with people outside of the team.
And CSU's own head coach Emily Cohen had her thoughts as well, saying, I don't have a strong desire to be a politician in the future, but I do have a strong desire to raise critical thinkers in my program and for them to understand their own selves and what's important to them and be able to make really conscious and mature decisions out of that and to always make those decisions out of kindness, right? This was also Colorado State's annual Inclusive Excellence game that focused a little bit of technical difficulties. This was also Colorado State's annual Inclusive Excellence game that focused on promoting the university's principles of community and on-campus resource centers. With that, Leah, give us a rundown of the result.
This was a high-stakes matchup for conference standings as Colorado State and San Jose State were tied for first going into it. Not only that, the Spartans were 9-0 entering Moby as well. And honestly, it might have been some of the best CSU has put out on the court so far, coming out on top in a 3-0 sweep. From the get-go, CSU was hot, emulating a groove San Jose State just wasn't able to match. It seems as if everyone got involved, as setter Emery Herman put up a whopping 31 assists. Kate Yoshimoto covered the entire court as per usual behind the dominance of Leah Jones, racking up 12 kills for the night. Another Ram who stood out was energetic leader Naima Weathers, totaling 11 kills and a .562 hitting percentage. She told CSU Athletics that one of our core values with CSU volleyball is unity. We were super excited to be able to come out on top of conference. That was one of the things that we talked about pregame, was making a statement and showing that we are the best team in conference. It was super fun to be able to do that as a team. The Rams kept the momentum rolling against Fresno State over the weekend, being the only team undefeated in conference. They have another test in tonight's Border Wars, so let's see how they're doing. And it's a close one. As we expected, it is a rivalry. Wyoming took the first set in a close 25-23. CSU fought right back, second set 25-17. And just like I was talking about, the key players are still doing their thing. Leah Jones, 14 kills right now in the middle of the third set. CSU is up 18-15. Emery Herman, 25 assists. So just what you expect, and it's just been a battle so far. But either way, there's still a good amount of season left for the green and gold to bring a trophy home. And with that, Ram fans, we're going to take a quick break. When we return, the heartbreak continues from CSU football.
I'll be right back. Hi! You think you're probably sober?
Yeah.
But you're thinking about taking the back roads home, just in case. If you're probably sober, then why would you do that? Good choice.
Probably okay isn't okay.
If you see a warning sign, stop and call a cab, a car, or a friend.
That's a full glass of wine. I'll be chatting you later.
Welcome back from the break, Rams. And in news away from campus, the CSU football team took a trip up to Corvallis, Oregon for a matchup with the Beavers of Oregon State. And this one was another double overtime classic for the Rams, but yet again, the team just couldn't get out of their own way. However, this was not the case for the whole game, as it started off like this for the Rams. Getting out to an early 7-0 lead, the Rams looked to be poised for a good game, but after that, it was really all Oregon State, scoring 3 touchdowns while the Rams just got 1 field goal in that span of time. A score of 21-10 going out of that fourth quarter. This one really started to come alive going into the end of the fourth quarter and overtime. CSU scored this huge touchdown and this huge 2-point conversion on this fake from Torrey Horton that put him up by 3, and the Ram fans thought it was over. But Oregon State came down and hit this 44-yard field goal to tie the game up to send this to overtime. And we all know the Rams love overtime, as we see this nice pass here from Braden to Caleb Goody, who just outruns everyone. But after this, it was really all Oregon State, scoring the 2 touchdowns they needed, first from McCoy and then again from Anthony Hankerson. This one just fell out of the Rams' hands in overtime. And they did have one last chance, throwing it up to Torrey Horton, their best player. But again, this Rams team just couldn't get it done, as they found themselves at the wrong end of another double overtime game. So once again, the Rams produced the entertainment but just couldn't secure the win. And in true double overtime fashion, there were some eye-popping stats. Starting with some of the best players of the night, Avery Morrow continued his stellar start to the season, putting up 140 yards on about 25 carries, while Torrey Horton had his best game of the season by far, bringing in 9 catches and averaging a ridiculous 17 yards per reception. While the Rams play caller Braden Fowler-Nicolosi had a clean game with no turnovers for just the 4th time in his career. Which leads into the team stats, where the turnover battle was actually won by the Rams, and overall the Rams matched up pretty well, sitting at about the same yardage as the Beavers in most categories. However, that penalty difference is again what proved crucial for the Rams. Having touchdowns taken off the board will never be easy to watch for Ram fans. But the season is far from over, and if anything, this game should encourage Ram fans. This was a power conference team that was sitting at 3-1 coming into this matchup, and Coach Norvell is not one to dwell on losses long, and he knows his team has no time to waste.
You got to continue to improve and get some defensive players back and be disruptive defensively, and so yeah, I'm excited that we're the only team that hasn't played a conference game, and now we need to take advantage of that and get off to a good start this week.
Rams will have a solid slate of competition the next few weeks, matching up with 4-1 San Jose State this Saturday in Canvas. The Spartans are currently the betting favorites, but if CSU can bring some momentum back from Oregon, it might be a surprising outcome. But that's enough football. Leah, I'll pitch it over to you.
Thanks, Mike. Colorado State tennis took a trip to Sin City to compete in the Mountain West Fall individuals, but fell short in the finals. Colorado State's Victoria Rechinchenko and Sarah Weekly reached the doubles finals, where they dropped a 7-5, 6-4 final to Boise State. The Broncos went away with 2 championships, getting a bid to the ITA Conference Masters coming up in November. The Rams will have just about a week to rest up before their next competition as they head to the ITA Regionals in New Mexico starting October 17th. Moving on to another women's sport, Mike, what's going on with soccer?
Well, Leah, women's soccer just can't stop winning, as they extended their win streak to 5 games in total, but 4 straight to start the conference play is the real takeaway. Starting with a team we just can't seem to stop mentioning tonight, the Rams faced off against the San Jose State Spartans on Thursday. And coming into this one, it was a pretty lopsided comparison on paper, as San Jose State still hadn't won a game. With that being said, the Rams took it a little too easy in the first before securing the win with 2 goals in the second half, first from Liv Stutzman outside the box and then Maggie Altman from within 6 yards. And while that win felt good, the women had just 2 days before their next matchup against Fresno State, and luckily for the Rams, they got to stay home and let the Bulldogs come to them. And after grabbing 2 assists on Thursday, Mia Casey had another fantastic game with 2 goals and adding 1 more assist to her weekend to help the Rams to a 3-2 win, leading to her being named the Mountain West Offensive Player of the Week, an award that just seems to be given to all CSU soccer players. But hopefully it can happen again this week, as the Rams have 2 tough matchups against Boise State on Thursday and last year's Mountain West champion Utah State to finish out the week on Sunday. But now let's switch it over to the pool. Leah?
Colorado State swim dove headfirst into their first meet down at the Front Range Invite hosted by Air Force. And while the rust hasn't completely shaken off the diving blocks yet, as CSU placed 4th overall out of the 5 teams, scoring 711 points. Regardless, the individual marks still found a way to shine through. For the second day of the meet, the Rams placed first in 3 races, including the 100-yard backstroke, 400 individual medley, and 200 medley relay. The swimmers that shone through were Katie Flynn, Erin Dawson, Lexi Triley, and of course, Tess Weinray. Weinray had quite the incredible outing in her freshman season, and it looks to be carrying over into her sophomore year start, because she also won the 100 back, placed second in the 400 free relay, and placed fourth in the 200 free. Head coach Christopher Woodard told CSU Athletics that when it comes to standouts, one of them is Tess Weinray. She's undoubtedly one of our most competitive and talented swimmers. She put in an amazing amount of work this summer, and she came back hungry, and she will likely be ranked among the top 3 in the Mountain West, if not first place in many of her events. She's going to be a handful for a lot of opponents all season long. The Rams welcome Washington State October 18th for the first home meet of the fall. But now, let's take it from the pool to the green. Mike?
Well, Leah, after a strong outing just a few weeks ago at the Ptarmigan Classic, the women's golf team had a less than desirable placement this past weekend, finishing 10th in the standings at the Ron Moore Invitational. Still, though, the Rams had some standout performances, ending the first day in 3rd place with Lacey Uchida grabbing 7 birdies, and then it was Jacinda Lee and Kara Kanishiaro who led the Rams on the scoreboard all 3 rounds, with the best round coming from Lee in the first round with a 68. The women will now look to their final match of the fall season down in sunny Hawaii, playing in the Rainbow Wahine Invitational, which starts on October 21st. Make sure to tune to CTV in a few weeks for an update on that one. But now, Rams, let's take a quick break, but don't go anywhere just yet, as Nick Ortiz is here for a feature story on hockey.
After 2 years?
You gotta be kidding me! Okay, no.
Robbie.
Seriously, do you have anything you can use against the dragon?
I can do fireball. That'll do a lot of damage.
Yeah, to all of us.
Well,
We're in a 4-foot group.
I'm sorry. What else do you want me to do?
Okay.
Hold on. All right, Wizard, what do you do?
Welcome back from the break, Rams. I'm Nick Ortiz, and I am so happy to say that hockey is back with the 2024-25 NHL season starting tonight. And while it would be cool to go out there and hear from the pros, I thought I would keep it closer to home.
The Colorado Grit opened the campaign last year. Was our first year in the North American Hockey League. We're very fortunate. We're the first Tier 2 North American Hockey League team in the state over the years. And we play a national schedule with some of the top talent in the United States at the 16 to 20-year-old age group, with players looking to move on and develop into college hockey players. Division I, Division III, ACHA players is their goal, and that's what we're here to support.
If you were to drive 30 miles from the CSU campus to the Ice House in Greeley, Colorado, chances are you would probably find head coach Kevin Holmstrom and the rest of the Colorado Grit with skates on the ice and pucks in the net. The Grit are part of the NAHL's Southwest Division. But what do you know about the NAHL?
The NAHL is the North American Amateur Hockey League. It spans from Alaska to Maryland and everywhere in between, with 34 teams spread out across the nation. This is one of the top development leagues for Division I college hockey players in the United States. These kids come from every walk of life that have been trying to develop their skills for a very long time, with some very lofty goals to move on to college and professional ranks as they continue to go. Our practice schedule is a grind for the guys, but it optimizes our development. We go Monday through Friday from about 9:30 to 12 each day, but the day is longer than that. That's our on-ice schedule. Our day will start at 8:30, whether that's video, the guys checking in, dynamic warm-ups, PT, whatever they might need to do to get themselves ready for that 2 hours of work in between. When the day is done, we're talking about nutrition, we're into our off-ice, our gym workouts, video. This is a real work day for these kids.
While it is always nice to have a number of wins on the stat sheet, NAHL professionals see more opportunities than filling up trophy cases when it comes to the age group that they work with.
player development is at the top of the list for us, whether that is their mindset, whether that's their skill level, or whether that's promoting athletes to colleges around the country. But we work on the skill level every day. Every day is an opportunity for them to get better, whether it's their skating, their shots, understanding of the game, whatever that is. The support level that we have for them is very high. And then it goes farther as well. Mindset coaches, strength coaches, diet and nutrition is big. So there's a lot that goes into our development for our players. And like I say, that's the number one thing on the list. We'd love to win and win championships, but that'll only come with the player development in all facets. When these men leave here, we want them to be in a better place and prepared for college and pro and the next levels. And we don't ever want to lose sight of that. That's the number one thing in develop, is to understand that we're here for our players, regardless of what their needs are on and off the ice. And we talk about it openly, and the guys embrace that and feel very comfortable that they're getting the best that the North American League has to offer. Our identity is always a work in progress, but we're really happy with where we're at right now. We want to make teams feel uncomfortable, and when I say that, that means we want to play up-tempo, we want to play physical, we want to be hard to play against. So that's our identity. I think it goes a little bit along with Greeley and the NOCO area in general. We work hard, we're proud of it, and we come in waves. Every guy on the team is valuable. They have their own skill sets and things that they do well, and that's our job, is to make sure that we showcase those and pull them together as a team.
It's always great to get out there and bring you guys a look at the best sport there is. Back to you, Mike.
Thanks for that, Nick. I definitely think we need some more hockey content in our shows, but for now, we'll stick to the normal game plan and we'll talk some football, more specifically football from this past weekend.
Yeah, that's right, Mike, and let's get right into it, going to the upset of the weekend with #1 overall Alabama, of course, losing to unranked Vanderbilt this game.
I think anyone that opened their phone and they saw this score was just in utter shock.
Utter shock. I have to admit, I was in the mountains, I was checking frequently, and I was like, wait, hold on. It's
just, the thing that makes it worse for me is that they just beat Georgia. So they got the win, they're like, all right, #1 team in the country, and then they lose to Vanderbilt?
Maybe that could have been a reason why they took it a little easier. Like, that's a huge game.
They definitely underestimated it.
Going into it thinking that Vanderbilt's a nobody, and I mean, it took them very late into the first quarter to even score. Vanderbilt immediately 2 back-to-back.
It felt like Vanderbilt was up the whole time.
And then look at like this pass right here. They were throwing the ball deep. They were running the ball. All sides of the game for both teams were in effect. I mean, Alabama kind of answered right back right here.
I mean, Ryan Williams is insane, so we get that. But just this Vanderbilt team, we've never seen this.
Never.
This is not an upset win you see from Vanderbilt.
I remember Vanderbilt, beating us and having their first win in 2
that
years
was
a couple years
beating
ago.
CSU. And now 2 years later, beating Alabama, the #1 team in the country.
And of course, when it comes to something like this, Alabama had a chance and they just ran out of time. And look at this.
Look at that. I love that.
Goal post down.
All the teams are doing it.
Everyone's doing it. Some people are like, why do they do that? I'm like, if I was Vanderbilt, I'd want
to do
this.
the #1 team.
#1 team.
Come on.
It's hard to beat Alabama.
Yeah.
It's hard to beat Alabama.
That's a good-looking team. I mean, Vanderbilt just did it. But moving on to yet another upset, which involved the Vols and the Razorbacks.
Yeah.
Arkansas, not a team you usually see in these games, just took this one from Tennessee.
This was shocking to me, especially Tennessee being ranked 4th going into this, undefeated, 4-0.
Yep.
They're at Arkansas, which again,
it's not the greatest home field advantage.
No.
It's nothing compared to Tennessee's home field.
No, absolutely not.
But the thing that makes it the worst is that they were up 14-3 here
in
the third quarter.
And then what happened?
They literally just had to hold the lead for the fourth quarter, but they just let Taylon Green and Arkansas run all over them.
Completely let the game go. And I mean, again, from a team that is supposed to be that high,
number 4,
and letting it get sloppy at the end, that just, this was more of like a interesting upset to me rather than, Alabama being like...
Right. That was a huge upset, but this is just like, wow. How does Arkansas pull that off?
Like, how did that happen?
Yeah, I didn't get this one, but huge for Arkansas.
I agree. Good for the Razorbacks. But up next, we had the rematch of last year's championship. And you know what? The Huskies got their revenge. I bet you're pretty stoked about this one.
I'm pretty stoked for this. I did pick Washington and Pick'ems last week, so there's that reason for it. But honestly, just looking at these two teams before this game, it looked like Washington's offense was just going to maul this Michigan defense, and that's pretty much what happened.
Yeah.
So I'm feeling great about my prediction.
I did pick Michigan, and that's the thing. They were in Washington. I just kind of figured, with the chip on their shoulder still from last year, like they beat these guys, even with a completely different team. I just thought they were going to take it away, especially, only having one loss in the season
I think
so far.
it's hurting Michigan not having those same players, the same coaching staff, just losing all those players. This is a completely different team. You can't use them from last year.
And I mean, the Huskies, again, they were like, we're still going to show out and prove it. So
new QB, they have a new team, and they still came out and beat them, so there are no excuses there for Michigan.
Zero.
But finally, for our last and final upset of the evening, we go to USC in Minnesota.
Oh, man.
The Gophers.
The Gophers took this one.
Yep. And at home, it's got to be super hype for all the Minnesota fans.
Of course. And I mean, USC, though, they're not doing so hot anymore. They did actually just lose to Michigan pretty recently.
They lost to Michigan. That was not a great game. Not a great game for USC.
They were favored, too.
They haven't looked good in either of these games.
No, and I had hope for them. I've been picking them in pick'ems, but I don't know what I'm going to choose going forward.
But this Minnesota quarterback, Max Brosmar, 2 rushing TDs to win the game. I mean, that is grit, if anything. I don't know how they won this game. It seemed like it was USC. And then they just came down, they played defense, and they ran the ball in. Minnesota just took this one from them.
Completely. I mean, 24-17, but
it was close. And then their QB just decided, I'm running the end zone twice.
All right,
that's the game.
This is my game.
Yep.
Well, Ram fans, that is enough football for right now. But don't worry, when we come back from the break, Pick'ems returns for just another week of games.
Living with someone you don't know on the other side of the wall is hard, especially if you don't know how to be a good roommate. The first thing that you'll want to do to be a good roommate is make sure that you always stay quiet. Be considerate of others when using common spaces and appliances.
Hey buddy, what you doing?
I'm just gonna need like 40 minutes. Be respectful of your roommate's privacy. Ugh, my bad. Finally, make sure that you clean up after yourself. Oh, fresh toothbrush.
Have you seen my toothbrush?
Follow these tips to get along with your roommates and your landlord.
Welcome back from the break, Rams. Welcome back from the break, Rams, and of course to Pick'ems. We've got quite the assortment of games to chat about tonight, so let's start things off in Bronco country, shall we? Nick Ortiz, back for the show.
Is riding.
It's riding. It is riding.
It is. All right, yeah, before we get into the pick, can we talk about PS2 and that pick 6?
Oh, unbelievable.
Crazy. That's why I'm picking these guys this week. I mean, all right, so you're going up against the Chargers, right?
Uh-huh.
Listen, I like Broncos defense.
Yeah.
Jay Herb, all right.
Top 5 in everything right now, the Broncos
defense.
defense.
That's what I'm saying. 5th in the AFC, we're looking good, we're looking hot.
Like
Bo Nix is doing great. I just really like their defense, though. I think Chargers aren't really going to be able to keep up with it, and I think that's a good enough reason.
They started the season well, the Chargers.
Yeah.
I don't think they're that type of team. They're not the type of 3-0 team, 2-0 team.
Guy.
So I think this is the Broncos. I think they're just hot. Bo Nix is looking good.
Baby
I know we saw that little argument with Sean
banter.
Payton.
Yeah.
But I think that's a good argument. I think that they're just trying to make each other better as
It wasn't
players.
like with Russell Wilson.
Right.
last year.
When Russell just like shies away
Yeah.
and he just feels like he's getting yelled at. Bo is giving it back to him. He's like,
yeah.
here's what I'm seeing, and then they're talking about it.
Yeah.
So
I honestly
like
love
to see.
seeing that because
Yeah.
it shows that a young quarterback is still able to have a say and an opinion.
I
No matter,
agree.
we don't know what the conversation was. In the press conference, Nix was like, "Oh, we just said I love you,
Yeah.
I love you back to each
I
other."
agree.
But man, the Broncos finally have a quarterback that they can develop, that is new, and it's promising.
I know. I don't want to make those statements yet.
I
Just 'cause
know.
it's only,
Too early.
It's so early.
It's only been a few games, but it really looks
No,
good.
we're winning.
A Raiders win you
Right.
can't complain about. We're going all the way.
We're going Super Bowl all the way.
And it's been a while since we beat the Raiders.
Yeah.
So for the Broncos culture as a whole, that
Since
was
it was
huge.
like Drew Lock.
Yeah, it was
Some-
bad. I think
It's
it was
been-
like 2020.
Yeah.
It was a while.
It's
It
been
was a while.
over like 8
It
games,
was
I'm
bad.
pretty
Yeah.
sure.
But we're all going Broncos here.
Oh,
I'm glad
Broncos
we're all
country.
getting the home
riding.
pick.
Can't believe we're rooting. I'm excited.
Right. But we can't waste any more time before we talk about some of the college
Yeah.
football we've got this weekend. First, we've got Penn State versus USC.
I'm honestly kind of regretting my pick with
Okay,
this one, just
okay.
because of we've been talking about USC a lot today,
Yeah,
and obviously
not great.
Penn State's number 4. USC, in a way, I kind of just want them to bounce back. I'm a Trojan fan. I've always been a big fan of them, so I'm hoping, they're at USC. So obviously if they're at Penn State, I think that's way different. But I kind of just want to see them bounce back. And I don't know, I have a weird feeling they are going to be able to in this game, but that's just me.
For me, it's just I chose against Penn State,
Yeah.
and it hurt me. They looked really good against Illinois, and I think this USC team came into the Big Ten, and they were kind of like, we thought we were going to be really good. We had Caleb Williams last year, and they're kind of getting a reality check. Losing to Minnesota does not make me think you're going to beat a team like Penn State. That's a top 10 team in the country.
Yep.
So
Wait, hold up. Are we agreeing on 2 picks in a row right now?
I don't know, Nick.
I got Penn State right now, so I mean, I'm just saying. I
like it.
I like their running depth.
Agreeing,
I like their running depth a lot. I just think you look at it, it's depth. It's all there.
Yeah.
Any guy you hand it to, you can rely on.
And
their defensive line, it's pretty solid.
It's always good. They always have a really good
it.
defense. Leah, what's your?
I mean, I'm going USC with this one. We've been seeing all the upsets, and this is the one where I'm going to just keep it going. Another upset.
Okay.
Make it more crazy. I mean, again, Penn State, 5-0. They are 5.5-point favorites, so it could be worse.
Yeah.
It could be.
I just think this team has looked better this year.
Yeah.
So I'm just going off the games I've seen, and that game against Minnesota just really turned me off to USC.
Yeah, no kidding, dude.
If you can't beat Minnesota, I really don't think you can beat Penn State.
You know,
but that's just me.
Maybe I will be the one,
looking
the
good.
lone
Maybe it'll be
wolf
enough.
here.
You know, we'll see.
But I mean, so moving on to more ranked territory,
I love
we
it.
got Ole Miss, we got LSU.
Oh, yep.
That's what you guys got, Mike. I'm sure you got an opinion.
I'm going with LSU.
Okay.
I really like the quarterback on LSU, Grant. He looks really good. I really like this team. It's definitely not the same team we saw last year with Jaden Daniels, where they were just explosive. But I think it's more balanced. I think their offense and their defense balance well. Ole Miss has not been looking great to me. Ole Miss lost that game against Kentucky. They haven't looked the same as those first few weeks. So I think I'm gonna have to go with not Ole Miss.
I'm about to do Nick's favorite thing and disagree with Mike here. Okay, I'm going solely based right now with the Manning lure of Ole Miss right now. And yes, they are at LSU, right? Ole Miss is still ranked higher as of right now. They're number 9. LSU.
I just don't think these ranks are really right. I think they keep getting them wrong for Ole Miss.
I mean, they're 3rd in scoring defense, which is great. Ole Miss, they're favored a slim 2.5 points, so that's very small margin.
It's an evenly matched game.
I'll
tell you that for sure.
It's going to be close.
And I think it's just fun for both of those schools to be able to face each other. It's a rivalry.
And they're close.
They're close.
The Ole Miss fans can travel
They can travel, and I think it'll just be a good game overall. But I'm taking Ole Miss because I like Ole Miss. I know LSU did just beat South Carolina, but
it's not a bad pick.
I'm going Ole Miss on this one.
Mike, we are just agreeing
across
the board today.
This
is so weird. But LSU, just home field advantage to start with. I think that's huge for them. In a game like this, energy's going to be crazy there. They're just going to be going out there looking good. And their QB, solid. Defense, solid.
And he's not turning the ball over. That's what's important to me. I feel like Ole Miss will thrive on those turnovers. You said their scoring defense really good. LSU doesn't turn the ball over. So it's going to be hard for Ole Miss to do that.
Maybe that could be hard in this situation. That is a good point. But Mike, I think we might be on the same page today for the first time tonight. Which means Nick might be, probably isn't.
Probably not.
For the first time.
I can tell you I'm
all
not.
right, you guys. Oregon or Ohio State. What do we think?
I've grown up, liking the Buckeyes a lot. My dad's from Ohio, so, going with the Buckeyes here.
Okay.
But it's not just because of that. I think this Buckeyes roster is the most talented in the country, and I've been saying that since the summer. They have the best running back room in the country. I know their QB is not the best, but he's serviceable. He can get the ball where it needs to go. And this defense, they brought back everyone from last year, which is a top 5 defense. So I just think Ohio State, I really have them in high hopes for the whole season, so I definitely think they're winning this one against Oregon.
Yeah, I mean, for me, the decision, as per usual, for most of my picks, comes down to stats. And I think you just look at the offense, you compare Oregon to Ohio State. I think Oregon's just more complete. I think
definitely
their
better
QB,
quarterback.
yeah, exactly. QB's higher up there. Yep. I'm not exactly going to go as far as say running and receiving depth is far better, but I don't know. It's consistent
That'd be a crazy
for me,
statement.
and it's good. Yeah, exactly. So it's just I'm just going with
Leah?
that.
I'm agreeing with Mike. I'm going to Ohio State. They're number 2 in the country right now, and I actually kind of think they're a little bit more well-rounded.
Best freshman receiver in the country, too.
That's what I'm saying.
We're cutting it off there. Ohio State, we're going
I
Oregon.
agree.
All right.
Yes.
Back in Colorado territory, we have to start talking about the game people think might stop Boulder's hot streak with Kansas State. But I don't know, guys.
Yeah.
You guys talk first.
This is a tough one. Okay, so this is a little silly of me, but because I didn't pick CU this time.
Okay.
Usually
Wow.
You usually are, yep.
Breaking out my
Who
shell a
is
bit.
Nick today?
No.
I love it.
I like J.G. Giddens.
Okay.
I think he's just a fun guy to watch. I think he's a fun player against Oklahoma State. It was just I mean, he popped off. He went crazy, and it was really fun to watch. So I'm hoping he's the X factor, and he can get me some pick-em points.
Yep.
So.
Leah?
I will never, no matter what the circumstance is,
That's
pick
what I was
Boulder.
trying to say.
Even
I
if
don't
they're
know.
number 1 in the country, I'm
Yeah.
not picking Boulder. No, I am going to go with Kansas State. I think they're
This
a better
is-
team. Again, they have more of a history of being a better
Okay,
team the last
okay.
couple years. I think they're more established. Even though they're going to Boulder, I think they'll play better there.
You know, I agree. I don't
Yeah.
want to do this.
Yep.
I'm looking at 2 teams. Boulder's hot right now.
I know.
And what I saw from Kansas State against BYU at BYU really makes me feel like they can't play on the road.
Yeah.
And Folsom, we don't want to say it, Folsom is one of the hardest places to play when they sell out that crowd. And they have
And
been
at least
since,
it has been.
since Dion got here, they've
Since
been selling it
Dion,
out.
Yeah.
not
So
before.
I just think this home field advantage is going to help them a lot. I think Boulder takes this one, and they're having a great season.
We'll have to see. Well, this will be the test because they're playing an actual, ranked team.
Yeah.
But Ram fans, that is all that we've got for the night. I hope you have a great rest of your weekend, and we'll see you next week.